was younger, my grandmother would always ask me for help whenever there was technology involved. Regardless of whether it was to do with turning the volume up on the television or changing the Wi-Fi password, she would always ask me for help with the same irritated expression on her face, as though she couldn't be bothered with how messy and irritating everything was. Now, as the youngest in the family, as well as the most technologically advanced, I never really understood why such an important figure would ever need my help with something so simple. As a person who made all the important decisions in the family, why was something like the volume button so difficult to deal with? Of course, I would never dare to say this to my grandmother. Instead, I would just directly help her with it, either by Googling it or just using basic knowledge on the subject. At the same time, I would hint to her that maybe it would have just been way easier to just Google it themselves, instead of waiting for me to pop up from wherever I was to help them. Now that I'm older, with more experience and understanding under my belt, I realized that there was much more to the problem than I initially thought of. Of course, there was the fact that my grandmother just wanted to spend more time with me, but there was also the underlying factor regarding technology and elderly. Elderly do not see technology the same way we do. In an article done by To Ming on elderly feeling lost in the digital world, they talk about Madam Yang, a 55-year-old female who often feels lost in a wired-up society, seemingly fueled by technology on steroids. She only uses her Facebook accounts to check on certain articles on certain topics that she prefers, but even then struggles with learning how to comment and post things online. This shows us that the elderly of today do not understand technology as well as we do. To them, it may seem like something that has come out of nowhere, which only the younger generation can seem to tame. In another article done on the 16 reasons why elderly struggle with technology by Cecilia, it also talks about how the biology of elderly play a role in this as well. As you grow older, your brain starts to deteriorate, impacting your memory and focus, and making it harder to actually try and learn technology properly. Now, as someone who spent most of the weekly grandparent visits teaching my grandmother how to use a phone, only to have them forget it the very next day, then proceed to complain about how the screen suddenly stopped working when it's because they haven't charged it for days, this is a very irritating thing to learn. I want my grandparents to be able to operate technology properly, to make their lives easier and better. But how on earth do I do that? Hence, after diving into the topic for some time and trying out some ways to help my grandparents, I've compiled a few ways to make it so that learning technology is as easy as possible, while also catering to their needs. First, you need to get them an appropriate computer to cater to their needs. One such computer is Comp, which is a one-button computer that helps reduce the complexity of technology by making it as simple as possible to understand and use. Another thing that you can do is make sure that the language that they are most familiar with is the main language that is used on the computer. This makes it so that it's easier for them to read the text on the screen and not have to constantly translate the information from English to their native language. You can also teach them about technology in regular intervals to constantly refresh their memory on the subject. Always make sure to go slow and steady in order to cater to their needs, and remember to always take into consideration whether or not they are receptive to the information that you are trying to provide them. It's important to show them the benefits of technology at regular intervals as well. Make sure that their interest is at least somewhat piqued so that they are more receptive to the information that you are trying to provide them. Try to give them an incentive to learn more about technology as well. For example, a social companion in the form of a robot might be a good idea for a grandparent that lives away from his family. If they learn how to use Skype, they might be able to call their grandchildren more. You can also find more benefits of how to benefit to the elderly on a website called Saint Simon, where you talk about 5 benefits of technology that can be used for seniors. Now, I could go on for a long while more, but the TED Talk officials won't give me a minute more than this to ramble on. So, I'll leave it to you guys to go out there and learn more about how you can help the elderly around you and make their lives a little better. For more information on the different types of technology that can help the elderly, you can go to aspacethoughts.org. You can also go to www.easytechseniors.com to understand why elderly struggle with technology so much. Thank you so much for listening.